Well, all of these developments, Yvonne, have to do with a civil investigation from the New York Attorney General's office into evidence or suggestions that the former president and the Trump organization could have inflated financial statements essentially in the past. So this is a civil investigation. However, you are hearing from the Trumps this pushback about this deposition in order to essentially appear before a judge, saying that this is politically motivated, noting that New York Attorney General Letitia James is a Democrat, so this has to do with politics, as well as this concern among the Trumps and the suggestion that this could have to be tied essentially to a separate investigation from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office into tax fraud charges against some figures from the Trump organization. So that second investigation is a criminal investigation. So definitely a number of developments on this front, but the Trumps very much pushing back, saying this is politically motivated.
And they could possibly appeal the decision that they have to testify.
Absolutely, and that's been suggested that they will appeal. I believe that their attorney even said that that would be a possibility. We know that former President Trump has tried to avoid turning documents over in a number of cases, not just this one. He's made news for wanting to block the turning over documents to the January 6th Commission on Capitol Hill, for example, the commission in the House that's investigating that attack on the Capitol just over a year ago. So we know that the president has very much tried to keep a lot of the information close to him secret, but I think there's going to be a public interest into why won't you testify? Why won't you turn these documents over? That's where the curiosity, I think, is really taking hold among his critics and some members of the public.
Well, if he does have to take the stand, what options does he have? He could still choose to invoke his right to remain silent, couldn't he?
Absolutely. He could very well plead the Fifth Amendment. And we know that the Supreme Court has ruled that pleading the Fifth Amendment is not necessarily an admission of guilt. However, it's interesting that during the 2016 presidential campaign, while talking about other political figures, President Trump seemed to suggest otherwise. So definitely an interesting turn of events and an interesting position he finds himself in, with the possibility of potentially pleading the Fifth, not only with him, but also his children.
Well, how could this impact his two children who've also been ordered to testify?
Well, they've essentially been ordered, like you said, to testify and, essentially divulge the information they might have. It's very possible that they could appeal. And we know that the Trumps are often very unified on these matters. And we know that Donald Trump Jr., Ivanka, and Eric Trump in particular, and Eric Trump was not involved in this latest decision, but they are very supportive of their father. They work very closely with their father. So I would expect them to sort of follow the path that their father is doing. I'm sure their attorneys and the family members are very much strategizing right now as to what the next step is.
How long is the investigation expected to take, and what are the possible outcomes, do you think?
Well, it's possible that this could take a number of months and going well into the year. It's not exactly clear how long it could take. I think it will depend on the appeals process and, who files an appeal. And in terms of the outcomes, look, this is a civil investigation. So I would imagine there would be a financial penalty if the Trumps or the Trump organization, there was any wrongdoing found there. So it's not necessarily jail time. However, with the Trump organization in that criminal probe that's going against some of the former Trump organization figures like Alan Weisselberg, for example, that could end up, resulting in, criminal outcomes if they are found guilty.
And finally, Julia, how might this impact Donald Trump's political career should he decide to perhaps run for president again?
I think you are going to continue, and the president said this in a statement yesterday. You are going to continue hearing him say this is a witch hunt. This is politically motivated. That very much excites his political base. When you hear decisions like this and have investigations from a major Democratic figure in the state of New York, a major Democratic state, his base is going to say that's politically motivated. This is sign of a bias against Donald Trump. If he decides to run and this continues to be an issue and he this is a sort of a cloud over his head and the outcome does not, come out in the Trump organization's favor, not necessarily, about him. This is about the Trump organization overall. That could be something that his opponents use against him.
Julia Manchester, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.